Drop it.
1836, Ryan Holiday.
We didn't give this. We're not going to give this guy the amount of time he deserves.
The biggest Joe Rogan fanboy ever.
This guy brought.
He listens to every episode. I don't know if you noticed, but he knew like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, you had him on, and Joe was like, I did. He was like, oh yeah, you had him on. You said this.
Also, I've never seen someone bring so many books.
You are the biggest fanboy ever.
I think we are the biggest fanboys ever. Yeah, we have a Parasite Media show called the Joe Rogan Experience. That's a good T-shirt, Simon.
A Parasite show?
Parasite Media.
Parasite Media. Interesting.
Or something along. Whatever. Fuck it. I'm done making T-shirts that we're not going to make. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, I got a new design. Well, no, it's a new style.
Okay, let's talk about Marcus Aurelius here.
If you ask, define Stoic.
Define the word Stoic?
Yep.
Oh my God. Here. You know what I've realized is I can use many, like every word in my vocabulary, 90% of them I use properly. I couldn't give you the dictionary definition of even a single one of them.
Stoic is probably like someone who remains calm, something like that. Stays calm, stands still. I don't know. Fuck.
Stoic is... I don't know. I'm going to just go with Simon, I guess.
I think, yes, I'm spot on. A person who can endure pain or hardship without showing their feelings or complaining.
Okay, there you go.
And which, this whole podcast, that's what they talked about. But Stoicism is an ancient philosophical school of Stoicism. But I think it's one and the same.
Stoics.
Suffering is living.
They
yada,
were
yada, yada.
meditating to a point of...
I think now they're discussing. They're not meditating.
Stoics?
At this point, Stoicism. They're philosophizing on rocks with their balls hanging out.
Okay.
They talked about agents. Do you guys feel like Ari was the Entourage was about Ari?
The agents.
I think Entourage became about Ari. I don't think that was the intention of the show.
No, I think it was about... It was. What's his name? Adrian...
He's stating it is.
I'm just saying, if you think about it it's about Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg made it, but it's about Mark Wahlberg's reaction to this guy who was his agent, and it is about.
I think it's more about his come up.
He was a character in a story about Adrian Grody or whatever his name was.
Grenier.
Sure,
he was in the show the most.
Who, Ari?
It wasn't a show about Ari.
It was. This is what he's saying.
Who is this fucking guy? Who cares about this guy? Did he write Entourage?
No, but he's written some really good...
I'm going to say this again. I have a feeling that after season 1, they did a bunch of fucking...
That's possible.
What's that shit they do where they get demographics
that would still
and
mean
analytics?
Most of the show is about Ari.
It wasn't a show about Ari.
I think it was, and so does Ryan Holiday.
Again,
Who's the boss, Kamar?
Who's the boss?
Yeah, who's the boss? Tony or fucking what's her name?
Yes, definitely.
Who's the boss?
Definitely. Sopranos is about Tony Soprano.
No, in the show, who's the boss? Tony.
Mel Carter. Give me a break.
This fucking guy.
Kamar, again.
Tony Danza.
I still stand by. I believe it was intended to be about Mark Wahlberg's come up, and then the character of Ari Gold was so, like, I guess, oddly endearing.
That's like saying Breaking Bad is about Saul.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a great character,
Which
and
is
he
why
got a spin-off show.
Yeah.
But Breaking Bad isn't about Saul Goodman, the same way that this show isn't about fucking Ari Gold. The show was about, like Matt's saying, it was based, it was
on
a
Mark
biopic or a
come up.
biopic on Mark Wahlberg's life.
Yeah.
Loosely based.
Yeah. That's why his brother's in there.
That's why the agent's in it, because
he had an agent. Yeah.
That's why his entourage, it's not Ari's entourage. Like, it's so dumb. It's really dumb. Come on.
Well, and you also act like a network wouldn't immediately pivot based on numbers, right? Like a network will, if a network is testing and they're like, Ari Gold is testing through the roof, then the next season they're going to go to the writers and go, Ari better be in every fucking second scene. He better be a major player. Same way Saul was. Saul wasn't supposed to be a big character in Breaking Bad.
Anyways, I'm not saying his character didn't grow.
Let's argue about this for longer.
No.
Go ahead,
move
Kamar.
on.
Kamar's so angry right now.
Fucking guy's an idiot.
He's fucking guy's an idiot. Look at you go. Small man, Simon.
The
Name calling.
discussion of agents,
Name calling.
the REs, and it was just the gatekeepers. And then we just talked about gatekeepers at MTV or Spike or Comedy Central made bad decisions.
Is that what you're calling old man's flies now?
Oh, yeah.
Wah, wah.
Exactly.
Gatekeeper. Wah, wah.
But what he did come to talk about was his
His book.
Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
He wrote a book on Marcus Aurelius. Yeah.
I think they could have talked about it for the majority of the podcast, but they just got way off topic talking about Stoicism in society. It was always about hardship, but
Yeah. Well, Joe is usually pushing his hustle porn fucking extra.
no, but Joe shits on hustle porn.
Yeah, I know, but he is hustle porn. He is the epitome of hustle porn.
In this whole thing, it
All
seemed
he-
like he contradicted himself, and he looked like an idiot. It was like, it's so weird he talks like the everyman. He's like, well, no, that's because some everyman translated it.
In this episode, he said, I just made a video about doing an ice bath this morning. That was like 4 weeks ago.
Well, the funniest.
Oh, yes. Okay.
The funniest about that shit too is like and listen, I love Joe, but he bigs himself up to the fullest where he's like, you got to do things that test you. Ice bath, sauna, writing. I was like, okay, so 3 things you do. Great. And then I thought to myself, I was like you're saying,
Hustle
how
porn.
the disconnect from the everyman where it's like most people don't have a sauna. An ice bath, I guess you can go buy some ice and get in your own bath, but I don't know.
He's definitely has a disconnect going. I just thought it was funny. It was like the translation. Well, that's just the one you read. It could sound as stupid as you want it to do. Reasonable emperors is something to behold. If they did exist according to history, what we know about current emperors and just people who rule are corrupt. The fact that back then when they didn't have toilets, people had sensibility to like try to be the best for all the people is sort of cool, no?
You don't think that, but what about Jimmy Carter?
Well, he called Jimmy Carter the worst president. I think he's the best president they've ever had.
Jimmy Carter is still out there building homes for
He
humanity.
smoked
He's like
weed
95.
with
The
Willie
guy.
Nelson on top of the White
He
House.
said he saw aliens.
He was the least liked, but he was the best president. That just goes to show America.
I mean, maybe you could argue that he saw some shit while he was in the White House, so now he's like, I'm building homes for the rest of my life because I was part of something I didn't want to be. Like, who knows?
Yeah,
But
this guy did not like Jimmy Carter, but he did like
Marcus Aurelius.
Eisenhower. Was it Eisenhower? No, Teddy Roosevelt.
Theodore.
Well, I think Teddy Roosevelt was the one who did everything, like fitness and whip
He
the country
made
to
the
shape,
park system. We know that.
and that too.
The highways, too.
Do you believe that purple was really hard to get back then?
That's so neat how colors like
I don't believe that though.
it
Why?
was, man. Colors became rare because they could only get the dye from a certain thing. So let's say
but
like
colors came before primary colors. Like they didn't figure out mixing colors.
Well, I'm sure they
If you
did, but
use
Kamar.
red and blue, you get purple.
Yeah,
I
but
just
you're
don't- yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
you're acting like mixing those colors back then would have been as easy as it is today. You might have to like,
The stuff is so valuable. What you have, you can't just mess around with it.
well, maybe not only that, but maybe it just you don't get like it's tough to nail colors.
No, that is interesting, Kamar. I wonder why. Like, it really seems like in order to get yellow, well, yellow's a primary, but they went to a canary bird or whatever, and in order to get
With the primary colors existing, this changes things, but it's still the means of having.
But I'm sure they knew that. There's no way they didn't know that red and.
Do you think they had designers?
Except, how would they know if they were? What were they mixing as colors? I don't know, man.
they
That's a
had
good question, Kamar.
designers for clothing, and there would have been like haute couture and like surf clothing. Or did you make your own clothes
in
as a
Rome?
slave?
Is that what you're saying?
Well, exactly.
Well, they definitely had haute couture. There's always like a class, you
Yeah,
know.
of course, yeah.
and so,
The peasants
There
are
was like
wearing
a
potato
Walmart.
sacks.
or did they make their own clothes?
They probably made their own clothes.
Except your royalty. Then they had like crazy tailors making.
Then you had
silk-
crazy tailors.
crazy robes.
Well, again, you're acting like I'm sure there was a tailor that if you had the money, you could go and get clothes made.
Upper class people got their clothes made, and
Yeah.
the lower class people.
But they didn't have
It's not
toilets.
rocket science.
But they didn't have toilets.
Nobody had toilets.
Like, it's just which came first, the toilet.
Except they had people to wipe their asses for them.
Well, Kamar, you know when you walk on the sidewalk with a woman, the woman is always supposed to be on the like the storefront side to you because people used to throw their shit out the window.
I did not know that, but that makes
I
sense.
thought it was so that in case a car came up on the side and hit, you would be hit first.
This is before cars. This thing.
I would have
Look it up.
loved if this whole podcast was just about that sort of thing.
Colloquialisms.
He doesn't look it up. He picks his phone up.
I
and he
have done,
puts
I've
it right
done
back
enough.
down.
looking up.
Just what was going on. It in itself is an ancient civilization, but they just focused on Marcus Aurelius and Stoicism. He had no father,
Marcus Aurelius.
Marcus Aurelius. So he went to be greatness, and then had John, the gay guy, adopted him. I think there's a little more going on there than just took him on his own and made him.
Geppetto?
Hey, you said it. And Joe seemed to think that. I don't think he read the book, but he watched Gladiator, and he thought he had his finger on the pulse because he was referencing it. It's like,
Who is Marcus Aurelius in Gladiator? In the Gladiator canon, where am I looking here exactly? Who is Russell Crowe in all this?
So
Where
let
does he
me
fit
let
in?
me get this straight.
Okay,
It's-
so Joaquin
it's
Phoenix is the son.
So his dad is Donald Sutherland. Then let me just see if I can get the right time.
So wait a minute,
frame.
Marcus Aurelius dies early in the movie.
So
then.
Donald
Oh, okay, hold
Sutherland
on.
ruled
Okay.
for how long?
Yeah, wait
exactly?
a second. Wait a second.
no, it was Peter O'Toole. I believe.
Well, whoever the
No,
fuck it was.
Give credit where credit's due.
Fucking hilarious.
And he had to say, "Well, no, he didn't die. None of that.
Yeah, that was a Hollywood film, Joe.
He died of the plague."
Did Marcus Aurelius give the thumbs down? Was that
And gave his son the throne. It wasn't stolen from him via murder.
Yeah.
So there you go. Well done, Gladiator.
And then they talked about most great men.
oh my gosh.
most
Save that.
most great men are bad dads.
Simon, it's because you have this thing set up in the fucking wackadoozeless way. Like,
Fuck you, Simon.
no, it's too tight.
Simon just kicked over his microphone for everyone. He got up to be excited. He was trying to hug me. Kind of creepy. Most
Listen to this.
most
guy,
great
eh?
men are bad
You
dads.
loved it. You think that?
Well, this was the statement. Unbelievable. I don't know what podcast you guys listen to. Because they're absent. They're being great. It's very hard to balance. I mean, now there can be. Speaking of, did you see?
Well, look at Elon. Like, Elon's kid is like, I don't want anything to do with this
Yeah.
fucking.
I don't think he oh, I recognize you. He's got a lot going on. But Jagmeet Singh held his child at question period
Why?
in the House of Commons.
Why?
To pander. Like, well, hey, we couldn't get a sitter, so I'm going to sit here. And I thought it's child abuse.
The best
They
would be,
couldn't
it's not
get a
child
sitter?
abuse. Shut the fuck up.
Just using your baby. And why does a baby want to sit in the House
Why
of
was
Commons
the
alone?
baby there with him?
I think
What
you sound like the wokest fuck ever. It's child abuse. It's not child
It's
abuse.
just child abuse to make a 2-year-old sit in the House of Commons.
Why? What was the rationale?
You want to create optics that he was just this cool guy.
How does that make you cool?
I,
What was he saying? Look at my Indian baby.
I take
I
care of
have
my
an
babies.
Indian. What was he saying? I don't get it.
I
the
like
best
how
thing.
that's what Kamar thinks
That's the
it
best
was.
thing. He's so smooth.
He was trying to make himself seem like a cool guy. Well, then he should have wore a leather jacket or something. Like,
Did he jump over a fountain on a motorbike?
He
Like, I
doesn't
don't
acknowledge
understand.
the baby. He just works with the baby in hand. Like
he never even says, "This is my kid." He just goes on there, baby in hand,
Yeah.
gives his
Yes.
speech, drops the baby,
Yes.
and walks off.
Yes.
Did he hang it off a balcony? I don't fucking.
He mic drops the
we'll,
baby.
We'll play it after.
He spikes it on its head. That
We'll
was
play it
a
after.
press conference done.
Mic drop.
But he's not a bad dad because he's present because he has his kid at work with him.
I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look into this because I find that
Excellent.
when you have like a ulterior motive,
Yeah, this is the
then
problem.
story gets all skewed.
If Trump had someone else's baby, Geppetto, at a fucking conference, he would be like, "Look at this guy, fucking real salt
Best
of the earth
dad
human."
I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
This guy's
Exactly.
If Trump
incredible.
was singing to a baby carriage full of bottles, you'd be like, "Best dad ever."
If Trump is good, his son Barron
Yeah.
is going to be a piece of shit.
Right?
no
if it
way.
goes by Joe's
If he turns up all
logic,
right, I'm bet now you got me something excited to live for.
because he is like the son of an emperor, right? So
Very interesting though.
There isn't a
Very.
multiverse.
he's gonna be
There
like
isn't-
Joffrey for sure.
Hold on.
Yeah, well, yeah,
There isn't
in
a-
theory he must.
There isn't a multiverse where that kid doesn't end up being a fucking asshole.
You
It
think
does
Donald,
not
you
happen.
think Donald Trump Jr. is annoying? Wait,
Oh
till-
my
This
God.
is gonna be very interesting. The new coming, and he'll be doing TikToks and stuff.
I bet that kid's already doing Adderall.
Or if he's unaffected, then that'll be the ultimate evidence of who Donald Trump is and what he's about.
The Trump family actually is very like similar to the Caesars. Like when you think about it, with the kids and the daughter who loves the dad a little too much, you know, a little Oedipus thrown in there.
Very more Marcus Aurelius. Yeah. Do you think Joe's daughters are in peril because you're talking about
From
success?
Joe?
No, from his success.
Oh, I mean, he seems to be keeping it pretty real, no?
He doesn't. The thing about Joe is
Seems evolved.
He's somewhat grounded, and involved. Like his work, I don't feel like takes him away from the family as much as.
You know what? They'll probably all be a little too privileged. You know what I mean? How could you not be like?
Well, he made a
your
good
dad
point.
is a billionaire.
Well, I think his stepdaughter will be very well adjusted because she came up in the come up.
Well, she's adjusted. Like she's not a kid right now.
That's what I'm saying though. She'll have just rode the wave with him.
Like, do you think Bert's kids will end up being normal, or
I actually do.
He's put enough of them out there that it may be
enough kids out there?
No, like he's talked about them in his act, and it's all like versus if he lived two different lives and they got exposed. But what Joe was saying is he felt athletics can teach discipline to fortunate children because it doesn't matter how much money you still lose, you still realize like it doesn't matter how rich you are. If you want to succeed at something, you have to work at it.
Athletics definitely does teach a certain amount of.
Everyone should be involved.
You know,
in
you
some
have
sort
coaches you have to listen to. Like it's like the army in that regard.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't like the sport, you just fuck off.
But even then, like I hate to use it again, but skateboarding is something where there's no coaches; it's just you, and it's one of those like you get out of it what you put in. If you want to sit out in front of your house for 5 hours a night and try to learn a trick, eventually you'll get there. And it's like
if you want to be good at it.
That's what I'm saying. But it's the same thing. Like if you watch any video on YouTube of someone landing their first kickflip, like a kid, you can see it in their face. That moment of like, I've been working at this forever. Holy shit, I figured it out. And like, that's a cool moment. And it's the same thing with sports.
I just feel that's with anything, right? Like,
yeah, but that's my. But
No, some
my
people
point
don't
though
like
is
sports though.
no, that's what I mean. It doesn't even have to be sports. Like the first time you throw that ping pong ball down the stairs and
That's
it
a sport.
hits enough cups.
Oh, I see.
You know what
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean?
But Simon, my point is like with skateboarding, it's still a physical endeavor, right? So I think anything competitive and physical, whether it's competing against other people or yourself, is good for you and your mental health, especially in kids.
In my nephew, any sport he's exposed to, he's like, I want to be the best at this. It's, I'm the best. Like,
Well, didn't you
I'm a
want to always
hockey.
be the best at every sport? I did. I mean, I wasn't the best at every sport, but I wanted to be the best.
I mean, we had a huge disadvantage where if you wanted to be the best, you had to find someone in your circle that was really good at it and hope that they were willing to impart some knowledge on you. Like now, you know, if you want to be good at basketball, you can literally get an iPad, go out into your fucking laneway, set up a net, and then just watch drills on your iPad. And you can get a professional. Again,
Well,
it's not the
that's,
same.
that's like
don't
Joe
know.
says, you don't have to pay for
It's
an
all-
education anymore.
It was all about passion, right? Because like we all liked playing basketball.
Yeah.
We wanted to be the best at it. But some kids just went in the backyard every night and shot 600 balls. You
No,
know
I get
what
it.
mean?
But
Like,
what I'm
did,
saying is
and I never got better.
that
no,
kid,
you didn't.
But Simon, that kid doing 600 shots a night is like, of course, he's going to have an advantage over the rest of us who aren't. But if he is also learning professional drills, like the drills that like the basketball players do to improve like hand-eye or any sort of basketball isn't just shooting. There's a 100 other things. And that's the thing is if you grow up thinking it's just shooting, that's a great base to have.
Physicality helps too.
Oh, listen. Like there's this debate right now about, you know, LeBron. I mean, it's always the debate. LeBron versus Jordan. There's no way that LeBron wouldn't have succeeded in Jordan's era. There's no way. He would have been successful in Jordan's era. He's too big.
What if he's too woke and Jordan said really mean things? Threw him off.
Well, that's not the point. I'm saying just in general with his
I
body.
mean, wouldn't LeBron have done even better?
If he took the negative and put it in positive.
This is the problem is LeBron is a big whiny bitch on the court. So like anytime he gets touched back then they were water skiing off guys. I mean,
He just would have adjusted. The kid's a phenom. Man.
I agree.
And he's huge. Like he's as big as some of those guys. He's way bigger than Jordan was.
who do you think is the better of the two of them?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I think he would do fine in Jordan time, just like Jordan
The
would
o-
do fine in this time.
I agree. I think Jordan would kill it
The only
nowadays.
way comparison would be if when Jordan did it, he went to a bunch of teams, which just wasn't the thing to do back then. and if he performed the same thing. There's the only sort of variable.
Well,
I think Jordan.
There's an argument I've heard, which is that, Jordan won with Phil Knight. And when Phil Knight wasn't with Jordan, he couldn't win. LeBron has gone to multiple different coaches, different cities, and won. Now, the main knock at LeBron is that he's lost in the finals a bunch of times.
Well, they also surround him wherever he goes.
And what about Magic? Why is he not in the conversation?
He got AIDS, man.
No, but he was fucking incredible.
He was incredible.
And
his career was
Jordan
cut
and
short by
LeBron
AIDS.
are amazing, but they didn't pass. Fucking Magic did it all.
He did it all.
You're forgetting that Michael Jordan was Defensive Player of the Year a shitload of times. Michael Jordan did it all. He didn't shoot the three
He
that
didn't
well.
pass as much. That was his. He
was
didn't get
fucking
as many
Michael Jordan.
assists.
He was the
Yeah, because he was a ball
prime
hog.
of his basketball.
No, he wasn't in his prime.
Wow, he had 5 or 6 years left.
My-
He could have done some stuff.
But
to
he had
Simon,
already done a
strengthen
ton of
his-
stuff. How many fucking championships does?
I say 2.
I think he
Maybe
has
it's
more
4.
than that, man.
Maybe it's 3.
Simon.
gonna tell
Who,
you.
Magic? I think he's got like 5.
That's what I was gonna
No
say. I think he has a
way.
lot. Yeah.
That'll show what I know.
Simon, you're forgetting Magic Johnson is in most people's top 5. He's just not, I'm sorry, he's just not on the Jordan LeBron scale to me. He also played
5 sounds reasonable.
he played in an era that was
He is a legend, though. I think Magic
Of course,
Johnson. gets
Magic
his due.
Johnson is a definite fucking
I
legend.
don't know what you're talking
Larry
about.
Bird's a legend as well.
That'd be the comparison: Magic Johnson and LeBron James. Because Magic Johnson was way bigger. Mike was a little guy. I think of him, he was 6'6".
Michael Jordan had the hands of someone who was 7'1".
Yeah, he was a freak.
Yeah, he was nuts.
And
For me,
and excited to watch. Yeah, it's the time in our lives when we got him.
I mean, I grew up loving Jordan, so it's a tough one for me. I'll say this. Bill Russell retired.
Yeah, 5.
No, I was right.
Right.
Bill Russell retired, and since Bill Russell retired, only 3 teams have three-peated, and Jordan was on 2 of them. So, I don't know. I mean, if you look, though, LeBron made the finals, I don't know, like 8-9 years running.
There was an interesting moment where they're talking about exercise.
Yeah.
And he quotes this guy, says, "Treat the body vigorously, so it'll not be disobedient to the mind."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh yeah, that's like my buddy from the Cro-Mags." He says, "That's when the mind tells the body who the fuck's in charge."
Yeah.
It just got condensed.
Very eloquent.
But it's the exact same thing, and that's why it's almost like you have to beat the body, but it's the mind's decision to beat the body for it to. It's very interesting. He brought up the social media issue, like they got into big city living, all these things that you can tell it's just not good for the. Could you imagine a whole week without being on social media or around the city? Just how you would think life is fine as long as you had what you needed.
Well, I mean, I got rid of Instagram, and that was such a
Isn't it great?
It's amazing.
Life is way better without Instagram.
I don't even miss it one tiny bit.
No.
So I
there's
just
enough
have to
going
do
on.
that with everything. You know what I mean?
I'm still telling you, Simon.
Move out to the woods, and I'm going to go back to basics.
I think I have the best Instagram strategy of all, which is the download, delete.
But you're on Reddit?
I check because the podcast. I try not that anyone's ever saying anything on there, but
Always an excuse.
The only thing I look at on Reddit.
I'm on them all.
The only
I
thing I
know.
look at on Reddit is I follow a Bigfoot thread.
yeah, if you saw what's on my Reddit, it's
Yeah, it's just a tap in some way.
Yeah.
One of the things I was thinking, if you went away for a whole week and came back with, it'd be like earth-shattering news that, oh my god, I had to be here. There's nothing that could happen. Unless it's the end of the world. And
Imagine you go and then the war, like he takes over, and then there's a World War III, and then you get your phone back 14 days later, and you're like,
Kamar,
what the fuck?
Yes,
I was gonna say, let's say September 9th, 2001, you go on a 1-week camping trip. You don't even have a cell phone.
Yeah, it's true. That whole,
Yeah.
the
You know what I
whole
mean?
world
Like,
changes.
to be honest, you actually do come back, and you're
Yeah.
living in a fucking totally different world.
Yeah.
Why am I taking my shoes off? Like,
Especially if you're flying back from somewhere. You're just
this
like,
is what I'm saying. You're like,
the
why is there a
fuck?
finger in my anus? I flew here with no problem at all.
Why are there guys with guns on the plane all
This
of a
is
sudden?
it. So yeah, I guess Kamar, I know what you're saying though. 99.9% of the time, if you were to
Queen
fuck
died.
off, yeah, who cares about that?
Someone nuke somebody would be pretty.
Did the queen die?
No,
She's dead. She's been dead.
Oh, I see. This is her.
All this to
doppelganger.
say, he was talking about how we're inundated with pseudo events.
inundated.
Inundated.
Inundated with pseudo events, especially a press conference. I just write the story, but we're going to have a this is going to be pressing news. And he said this is from 1910. And you got to think about it. Read all about it. Charlie Chaplin, Colin Fordiogo. Like that was clickbait. That was all these things.
Yeah, it's so funny. The paper boys were clickbait. That's pretty much what their job was.
I wonder how many people too like, oh my God, car crash killed 14. I got to buy that paper. And then they're on the bus like, they all survived.
Yes,
I was taken.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go find that boy.
None of this to be surprised is just what he was saying is the mediums change with a book to whatever. And like we say, social media is the worst. The printing press is the worst. It's all technology. And it all bled back into what the guy said who said the universe may be developing consciousness. The human cycle is good, bad. From a bad war comes a good technology that advances this. But medium in the...
What?
You don't understand what I'm saying?
No one could. You just went off on a
it's just
tangent.
verbal diarrhea.
Right now, everyone's upset about whatever issues are going on.
Okay.
But something good will come of this, and this will be forgotten. And then something bad will happen, and the good that came from the thing, you won't be like, let's look for the good. We'll just think the world's ending. It's just a constant cycle of chaos, correction, and
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, you're kind of going off the hot hand fallacy, which is just that whatever's happened will continue to happen. That we're just going to keep going through the cycle, and that we won't hit something terrible.
If you knew that we had fucked up the planet, we're far gone.
I'm so glad you brought this up.
There's no fixing it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if we do anything. Would you say stop all environmental stuff?
Well, we're already there, so. So Kumar, in 1972, MIT built they built a computer. I think it was called Globe 3 or Global 3, and they ran multiple simulations through this thing, like a shitload, using I think there was 5 key like components to it. Anyway, point being, this thing consistently spit out 2040 as the end.
Really?
Consistently.
That's kind of exciting.
And one of them, which is interesting, one of the simulations was called the business as usual simulation, where we just keep doing what we're doing, which is what you would have us do.
Yeah.
It is the one that gets us out of here the quickest.
But whatever we do 18 years from now is...
Regardless, this according to this thing, and it makes sense because if you look at where we are right now versus where this thing was when it was like 1972, we're there. We've done it. We're living. We have 18 years left, give or take.
And so, do you think we should at least keep going to prolong that, or fuck it? And is it 15 and 18?
Well, I'm going to use your own logic against you. If there's an X factor, then we need as much time
to get the X factor.
Right, so if we could say, listen, if we stop doing what we're doing, well, no, but you're right.
I know, but
I know it's a
we're
tough.
not here for a long time.
I get it.
We're here for a good
But
time.
I'm just saying, is if we said, listen, we have 18 years, but maybe we can get 5 extra out of it, and in that 5, if we listen, if we learn anything from COVID, it's supposedly we have unlimited money and resources to pour into anything that matters enough.
No, as we learn now, we do not.
Well, yeah.
You pay for that.
But what I'm saying is, we made the economy. So if it really was like a human element level event that was going to end all of us, there is no cost that is too great. The economy isn't like.
So your answer is no. Business as usual.
What happened in 1972?
MIT created a program called Global 3. It was a computer that, using certain analytics, would predict humanity's rise or fall. And across all the predictions, 2040 was what this thing said.
2040.
So there's 18 years.
Okay.
But there's one, say, model that's business as usual, and say that'll be 14 years.
No, so they had one model that they mapped out that was called the business as usual model, where we just keep doing what we're doing. We change nothing. And that model gets us off the earth the quickest. Like humanity, that is.
But does that still have us ending in 2040?
No, less than 20. No matter what happens, 24 is ending. I'm saying business as usual would make life easier.
This
Kumar, hold on.
2040 thing
Hold on,
is
hold
so interesting, though, because that's also the same date they give for the merging of man and machine. What do they call that? The synchronicity,
singularity.
singularity. So maybe that's what it means. Maybe they think it's the end of mankind, but it's just really
Well, it better be
the
because
end of mankind.
Kamar, keep in mind, it's not 2040 we're gone. It's that in 2040 it all unravels. And the idea is in this business as usual one, by 2040,
It
we're,
unravels a bit soon.
no, by 2040 we're already like fucked. The population has dwindled to nothing. There isn't enough food. We've
Point
roasted.
is, there's nothing we can do. Do you think we should just go business as usual, or just bang our heads against the wall for the next 18 years? He thinks we have to have as much time to get the X factor.
I
And
said
shortening that.
what I said was if I agree with Kamar's X factor, that we have the capability to do something to reverse it all or to fix it or to save humanity. What I said to Kamar was the more changes we can make now to give us more time, I assume the better. As in, if we only have till 2040, but we can stretch it till 2045, why not try to do everything we can to get that extra 5 years that could...
Right. It's kind of like if it turns out that we're living in a simulation, do you just say fuck it?
The problem is this.
of.
The problem is this, is there's...
What the end is inevitable.
There was something about a pandemic that lit fires under our ass, whereas we've been ringing the alarm on us roasting the planet and not having food for like 40 years. But for some reason, we don't care about it. You know what I mean? Like the pandemic was like, oh my God, my grandmother might die. This is a big deal. Whereas for some reason, like we're like, oh, we've roasted the earth. We're all going to die. But well, we're all going to go out together. So I guess that's cool.
Well, because it ain't going to be
Us.
you.
But it's cool. We get to see it.
No, it won't be. It will be the least cool thing ever.
2040. Oh, yeah, we will see that.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
I mean, I don't really think that's when. I mean, who knows? We are going so quickly to fucking
Well,
eradicate
you guys are lucky because
ourselves.
2 years ago, you guys said 5 years. I think we're going to get there, but who knows?
I mean, Simon, it's all... They,
Well, we said 5 years, and then there ended up being a pandemic. So what does that fucking tell you?
yeah.
Joe
We
complained.
almost called that perfectly, man.
Yeah, no shit.
Joe complained about people taking clips, but I feel like Joe invented clips.
No,
Clips
the
of
person
what?
that stole Joe's shit invented clips.
But Joe was one of the first guys just to put clips out, an alternate clips channel. That is Joe Rogan. That is not somebody else doing parasite work like ourselves.
Well, it was
Oh, no,
Brian,
no,
it was Brian Redband.
No, you guys are wrong. The Clips channel was Parasite Media. They bought the channel.
No way.
Yes.
Why aren't they buying us?
Well, because we don't steal his shit directly.
It's painful listening to Joe. It's painful listening to Joe explain to a guest how microphones and headphones
I
work.
know.
Like, because you see, you could just hear me like, yes, I know.
Yeah, he's
I
got
know
it,
what's
Joe.
going on down here. Gawker invented sort of clickbait journalism and they went bankrupt. What does that tell you?
It was funny too when Joe was pulling up the demise of papers because he really thought, he was convinced it was social media. Social media was the death
No,
knell.
there was a bunch of the
The internet is what did it.
but the just yeah, all the things on the internet taking all the purposes of the newspaper away, like the classifieds.
The classifieds they were right. That was the moneymaker
All
of the
that
paper.
stuff.
Well, Kijiji just killed that
Yeah,
shit.
Craigslist,
crushed it.
Kijiji, yeah.
A bunch of factors sort of circled out newspapers and just crushed them like a newspaper.
Also-
but newspapers are good for fires.
But you're forgetting too, like when you like if
And
I'm
crosswords.
if I'm advertising in a newspaper, I'm just going off the analytics they're giving me, which is like we put out 400,000 newspapers.
So many subscriptions.
So it's 400,000
They can only do the
impressions.
sports section,
It-
hear an opinion.
It's so funny though. Like even today, Kamar, even though newspapers are dead, everybody knows this. Like it is a fucking fact. You are probably better off just posting a video on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Newspapers are dead. You still go there to get a full ad in a newspaper. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, like
Which is funny because, dude, I know a guy that sells radio ads. It is fucking, it's like criminally cheap.
really?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
It's still expensive.
Radio is still expensive.
No, this guy was telling me the rates. He's like, I mean, again, it depends what kind of reach you want.
No, but you
right?
have to buy for like a chunk. You don't
Yeah,
buy
but
one
no, but he
radio
was
ad.
no. But he was saying he was like, you can do it on like a local level where it's like super cheap. He's like, if you want to go national, obviously the bigger your campaign, the big.
No,
It's still not that cheap.
I want to know what cheap is.
yeah,
We're going to
yeah,
find out
yeah.
afterwards
Okay,
what
sure.
you think cheap
That's
is.
fair. They talk about he's Joe's saying it's just conversation, but most shows use guests to succeed. That is the model. Like everyone wants to get someone who hasn't done it Joe doesn't.
Yeah, you only have the luxury of having the people you like on once you already have an audience.
I think what is cool.
Or I guess no, that's not true because you have to build your audience. So.
But what's cool about our minute success is none of us are anyone. Any other podcast is someone or has guests on it, but they have to be someone.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have 10 lists. We wouldn't have 10 downloads if our name didn't.
I think we'd have 10 by now, but
Okay.
that doesn't mean much more. Podcasts are guest driven.
Yeah, Joe forgets that if
Joe just
remember
not
episode 1, if that had continued on for 300 episodes, this would be a lost
No
podcast
more.
in the
It'd
mix.
be no more.
It was the guests that drove the podcast for
They
sure.
sort of dipped their toe in that idea of people shilling. Like they could have been one way, and with all these political issues, they lean another way, start seeing more subscribers, and then they're sort of leaning to get
It
stuck.
felt
that
like he
way.
wanted to say Tim Pool. It felt like this guy, because Simon said, this guy's a listener, right? Avid listener. It felt like he wanted to say Tim Pool.
I think there's a number of people that could have been, but yeah, I believe that.
London Real.
And then Joe sits back and goes, as I get older, I think this. And I really think it's as you get richer, you think this. Because I think Joe is a different person if he's divorced, living in a 2-bedroom in Boston. You know what? If things didn't go out, I don't think it's this insightfulness. It's just he sees the world through different glasses.
Well, I was watching. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say I just think everything is different when you're rich, right? When you don't have to worry about money anymore, everything becomes different.
Yes.
Like the fact that you even would worry about any kind of problem out there, like what do you care? You fill your day with that bullshit because you're bored when you're not working to try and feed yourself.
Something to talk about with your friends.
Dude, imagine,
Stay in touch.
let's stop for a second. Imagine waking up every day and literally being able to say to yourself, I can do anything I want today. There's basically, short of going to space or like something like that needs planning, like do I want to go jet skiing today? Do I want to rent a helicopter? Do I want to fucking fly to Vegas? Do I want to go
Those
to
are
Morocco?
problems, man.
And trust me, if you decide to stay home, that's pretty fucking sweet too.
Yeah, because you live in a maybe I'll take an ice bath or I'll go to my sauna or my $100,000 gym.
The sickest mansion. You know when you watch those mansion shows, you're like, that's it. I've seen
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then oh my God, that's even sicker.
Bedroom porn.
Location is huge. In the space of 7 minutes, he goes, poor causes a hunger for greatness, which is against the UBI or whatever. And then he says, poverty has an extreme gravity that you can't get away. Like,
Well,
I swear.
He really bookended those together, right?
Joe's weird because this guy was trying to explain to him, like, this guy was like, yeah, I mean, listen, there's a difference between like living in total poverty and being like still hungry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between being like, okay, well, I at least have a 1-bedroom apartment and my water's running, but I'm still real hungry to get rich versus like,
A lot of those poor people are unproductive no matter how much money they have. So I don't see the difference. I think it'd be fine. I'd be for it. Obviously, the position I'm in, I can see someone disagrees.
the problem, listen, UBI is a Band-Aid. The problem is housing costs. You can't have a young workforce that doesn't feel like they even have a shot at ever owning a home.
Oh,
it doesn't.
You know those mini houses are coming into play soon.
Well, I saw this whole thing on it was about maybe Finland, because in Finland they've eradicated homelessness because they build housing
Affordable
for the
housing,
homeless. You get a house, you get money, or you get a house, you get a little bit of money, and you get therapy, and you have to take the therapy. And apparently they've been doing the same thing in like Alabama or something, some weird state of all places, but like you're
working.
fixing those people. The therapists all get jobs. The people building the hotels and the housing get jobs or whatever. They're not hotels. They're like row houses or whatever the fuck they are. You know what I mean? But you're creating work. So you're solving all these problems at the same time. It just seems like a no-brainer to me.
Well, we're forgetting
wrong
that
here?
we expect
Because they put zero... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's nothing. We expect people to be upstanding members of society while not having any of the tools to be upstanding members of society. You know what I mean? Like waking up in a clean bed and having a shower to start your day. Like I don't know.
I guess the problem is if it turns out that like lots of people just want to live like that as opposed to...
But hear me out. We already have that. So you're not like, I don't think that UBI is meant to fix the fact that some people are fine. Just like, first of all, you need people to do mundane jobs. We can't all be rich. We can't all, like, unless we automate everything, in that case, yes, we can all be rich. But otherwise, you need people to landscape. You need people to be plumbers.
Well, I imagine if UBI comes into effect, those jobs have to pay a lot more, right?
Well, I was interesting. Just sidebar, there's issues of inflation and everything going on right now.
Well, there are things that I'm not even taking into account too. Like that kind of UBI will change the whole.
Well, this is the concrete example because he said I had to raise all my prices because they just made me raise minimum wage to $15, where 4 years ago I was paying people $10.
Right.
Who's supposed to pay for that?
Right. Like what happens to like the mom and pop shops, let's say, in like lawn keeping or whatever. If everybody's getting paid, I guess the idea is that you're getting money from the government and you're going to go out and get extra money for being a lawn care guy.
Well, the argument is this, Simon, is if I don't have to pay rent, right? Like if my rent basically is taken care of and most of my bills, let's just assume that's what they're going to give you. I don't have to make as much at work because I'm not struggling to pay all my bills. So I don't, like, all of a sudden
Yeah, I totally hear you. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is as if I'm going to go work for this job that isn't even paying me what the government is paying me for nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I just wonder. I wonder if the fallout ends up being more than we're like.
I mean, listen, we have to live in a world.
Not if you have no money.
We have to live in a world where automation is coming, right? So like the 4-day work week, that's not a mistake. That's part of like a whole plan of like, you know,
We're fucked.
there aren't enough
Everyone's
jobs. So if we have everyone working 5 or 6 days a week, not everyone can work. Right now in the U.S., they just released a study saying that no minimum wage employee in the U.S. can afford to live in any major city in the U.S. It's official. It is now too expensive. You've been priced out.
And it all sounds really nice, this like UBI thing, but it worries me too because the people who are trying to implement this, are they doing it because like what Matt says, they're planning on automating everything?
No, worse
which is
off. They're
just better
completely
for their
incompetent
bottom.
and they're going to fuck it all up.
Well, that would be a whole different thing, man.
I mean, listen, at the end of the day, after COVID, you gotta just ask this. Where would the money come from? And I get it. The idea
For
is
UBI?
yes.
The same place it came from for COVID.
It didn't
tax.
come from anywhere. That's the
I
problem.
know.
They should have done that. They should have had a COVID tax.
Everything is built on a fucking lie, man.
Kamar, they wouldn't need a COVID tax if they just appropriately taxed Amazon, Walmart, these oil companies, instead of giving them massive tax breaks every year. If they just collected the appropriate amount of tax like they do from every other
government were incompetent and corrupt, it'd work out.
Incompetent and corrupt. That's the problem because they're both.
He talked about the guy knocking the guy out for $20, but I'm telling you, that stuff has happened for the last 30 years. You hear a story about kids shooting a kid for sneakers, a chain, whatever. People are fucked up.
Swatting people now.
I think it was it's getting worse. I'm a Steven Pinker.
Well, Kamar, it's like the knockout game. Every like 5 years, it makes it back into the news cycle. You know what I mean? And people act like shocked. Like, what is this happening? I'm like, guys, this.
Not that I don't think wealth inequality is the single. That and inflammation are the single two biggest problems on the planet.
Inflammation.
Inflammation is an issue for sure.
That is a huge issue.
I go back to it again.
Not inflation.
Inflammation.
Yeah.
I got it.
If you go back to the 50s, you could, as a minimum wage employee, you could theoretically say to yourself, if I stay at this job for 20 years, I will own my home, I will have a car, my family will be taken care of. Now, if you're 18 and you're uneducated, don't ever think about a house.
Via Escondidas, work on a cruise ship or someplace that puts you up. Where I work, everyone I talk about just talks about their 4 or 5 other jobs. It's
That's what I'm saying. You
times have
can't
changed.
listen. It's tough to ask workers to work their hardest when it's like you're going to be living in that one bedroom you're in for the rest of your
But
life.
at least I was listening to one expert, and it's all Putin's fault. So once they sort him out, everything will be fine here.
Yeah, sure.
So this guy says people accuse me of profiting off philosophy. And this is what I was referring to last week with the bike ride guy. This guy is an author, but he doesn't have to go anywhere. You can be a writer and not have to go some weird experience. And he sounds very interesting. I thought it was ironic that Conan is the greatest fantasy novel ever.
I mean, that's a tough one. Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I can list off 5.
Game
Yeah,
of Thrones.
Star
like,
Wars.
It is interesting
Star
how the
Wars
New York.
is science fiction.
It is interesting
Fantasy.
how the New York.
Fantasy,
It's
Kumar.
interesting how the New York Times has to be like, well, we can't put the Bible. Like, you know what I mean? The Bible would just constantly be
Oh,
the
yeah,
number
that's-
one
that's
bestseller
number
of
one
all time. Yeah.
fantasy for sure. Hey, you know the difference, right?
Between fantasy and sci-fi.
Yeah.
Big tits, exposed tits.
No, sci-fi has to do with like
Big
space
tits, exposed
and
tits.
things like that, and fantasy is like ogres and
But there's realms in. Are there realms, different dimensions, and
yeah,
it's all on
in
Earth
fantasy.
in fantasy.
Yeah, for sure. But it has nothing to do with like
You got-
robots.
It's
and
all it's all
shit.
on the globe. If it's a fantasy, it's off the globe. If it's sci-fi, well, no sci-fi can happen on there.
Anyways,
Is Ex Machina, is that fantasy or sci-fi?
Sci-fi.
sci-fi.
But it's on the Earth. It's on
But
space.
it's about
There's nothing to do with
robots.
space.
There's
Oh,
no
okay.
fucking robots in fantasy.
no technology.
No
in
technology in
fantasy.
fantasy.
So it's ironic that Conan, the greatest
It's
hero ever,
magic.
was written
Same
by
thing.
an incel. He's like the loser lived in his mom's basement.
Yeah, but that makes sense in a way. It's a guy wanting to be something completely different than what he is. You know what I mean?
I'm
You
not
write
shitting
like
on it. It's just sort of the archetype that he comes from one person. I just don't have the reverence for Conan that Joe does. I know some people do.
yeah, I have no.
And like I
fucking,
said, I
don't
just
give a
don't think it's the
shit.
greatest
I wish I
fantasy.
had. I want to read them now.
The Conan sex novels.
Yeah, I don't think they're sex novels.
So he talked
They're written
about
by an incel for
he
sure.
talked about the blue marble photo, and I have a new theory.
Oh, here we
The
go.
blue marble photo.
He
first
said,
photo
We
of
only saw that
Earth.
alleged.
When did they take that photo?
59.
Yeah, like really recently.
69. No, the point being is take a coin and spin it.
Yeah,
What does it look like?
it looks like a ball.
Yeah, it does.
Very good.
And two things can be true at the same time.
And
it spins, but it's flat.
Well, they agree
Hold on,
that
hold
the
on,
world
hold on.
is spinning and very fast. Come on, Like,
No.
so fast
Yes,
that you
yes,
can't.
yes, yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
at like millions of miles or hundreds of thousands of miles
no,
an
it's,
hour.
No,
it's
it is
going
not
around the sun like that, but it's,
It's
spinning
not
quite.
spinning on a fucking. Dude, we'd have night and day. Literally, it would change night to day every second. It would be light, dark, light, dark, light, dark.
No,
No, it's big.
No. You don't understand how the world turns, obviously, right? That's how night and day work.
It's going,
you are aware of that,
because
correct?
okay, there's 24 hours a day, so it spins at 24 kilometers an hour or miles an hour. I think it spins faster.
24 miles an hour. That's the math you did real
Yeah,
quick there.
so
So
what-
it does 1 mile. What are you talking about here?
It's going faster than you think, slower than we think.
Much slower than you think.
No, from afar, if something's spinning,
Kamar, your argument is that if you're in the space station, which you don't think exists,
a
that the Earth-
1,000 miles per hour. That's how fast it's spinning when you do the math.
now that if you were looking from afar, if it's flat, it would've
No,
made it
if you're
glow.
looking from afar, 1,000 miles an hour spinning is not fast at all.
I don't know. man.
Kamar, I love that theory. Did you come up with that yourself?
Of
course he
You
didn't.
did not.
No, he
Flicking
didn't.
it, I swear to God,
Dude, that is fucking brilliant.
Thank
the
you.
spinning penny theory, I love it.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
If you came up with that,
I swear to God, I'm gonna cry.
you should, like, you're going to have followers.
You get on
So what's on the other side of the Earth?
Who knows? You can never see it spinning 1,000 kilometers
It's
an hour.
hollow.
No. So your argument though is that we've gotten a solid photo of one side of the Earth, but never the other, because it's just spinning so fast.
Oh, I wonder if they're both the same on both
They look the
sides.
same.
That would be
You guys are
interesting.
fucking morons.
Well, double-sided
no,
coin.
that could be because you'd fall off the one, but not if it's like this. So it's centrifugal force. If it stops spinning, everything go boom, boom. Wow.
Well, I
Very
mean,
interesting.
even on the globe, if it stops spinning, we go boom, boom. You realize that, right?
No, I love it, Kamar.
Yeah, of course you do, because you're an idiot as well.
No, it makes perfect sense.
If
to
it
me.
stops, everything goes boom, boom. Yeah. Oh, but no, but we get to jump, right? If it stops spinning, the
I love
gravity
that.
changes.
I love this.
Oh,
Guy's,
I don't know.
I
'cause
love
it's
that
the
you
moon.
think Kamar's great. He's like, if I can time my jump for the Earth stopping to spin, I will just end up in China.
No.
If I just jump high
in
enough.
the other dimension, on
You
the
go-
other side, the flip side of the coin. Oh my God.
Go 1,000 kilometers.
This
an
I
hour.
don't
is
think
all
you guys know
making
how
sense
anything
now,
works.
man.
Yeah, you're just
This
going to
is all
jump to the
making
flip
sense.
side of the coin. What a fucking
No, you
retard.
don't. You get there through the moon.
Okay.
This totally makes sense
Then they were able to bring it back to Marcus Aurelius.
to reality.
I got to end this too, by the way. This better be your last point.
Yeah. I'll
not-
continue with the post show, but they just brought up Marcus Aurelius and how he saw in truces and stuff. And it's just interesting. Now we have a chance to do truces, but we're not. We're going the way of fighting. Like we just don't learn from any sort of lessons. And this is a lesson that we knew 2,000 years ago.
Here's what I love is every week someone comes on and you guys are like, history's written by the winners. We can't trust any of history. Some dude who you've never heard of before comes on and is like, this is written in stone how Marcus Aurelius.
Oh,
for
no,
all
no,
you
no,
know,
it's his
some
diary.
asshole who loved Marcus Aurelius wrote.
He said it was his diary. Of course. I'm just if ABBC.
Yeah, because you know who Marcus Aurelius's biggest fanboy was?
Julius
Marcus
Caesar.
Aurelius.
Well, apparently not. He was stoic. But they just played the baddies clip, and you could do that with any army.
The baddies?
It's Nazis, and he's like, have you seen this skull on our thing? He's like, yeah, a skull. That's good.
Yeah.
But are you sure we're not the bad ones? Just this self-awareness that could apply to any army in the world.
Do you notice all the people in this camp are Jewish?
Yeah, exactly. Then I wrote down Arya is the hero of Entourage. You guys disagree. Judge took a bribe. They skinned him and made a chair out of it for his son to sit in. That sounds twisted.
No, we should still do that.
Crazy.
We should
man.
still do that.
That's crazy because he had to serve his whole term sitting on his dad. So every time he thought about being as evil as his dad was, he made the right
so it's a good
decision.
thing.
You never know. Maybe
Sounds
this kid
great,
hated
man.
his dad. Probably loved the throne.
Is
Oh,
This guy's
like
a
if it was
prick.
Joffrey, yeah.
is the firing squad cruel and unusual punishment?
Or Baron.
It's cruel to the guys who got to do it, right?
I also think it's cruel because, I don't know, what if you don't die right away?
They're all instantaneous death. So really,
What is? A firing squad? Why? What if someone shoots you in the neck and you bleed out?
those people are trained to
Yeah.
all
Oh,
hit
oh,
you, and you're being hit by
yes,
like 20
yes.
bullets at the same
Just like
time.
let's take.
First of all, one
Let's
gun's
just
always
assume-
empty.
Just say all the chemicals are in lethal injection, all the charges of the chair, and all the guys can aim for
what's,
the head.
Guillotine.
what's the difference? What's the
Then
difference?
guillotine should be the most
Guillotine
efficient.
is the one across the board. We should still use the guillotine if
But
we're
there's
But
always
is that cruel and unusual?
there's always a lead up.
killing
to it.
someone is cruel and unusual.
You
It's
know
the
what I mean?
guillotine.
Yeah, okay. If we're past that, then
It's the guillotine, 100%.
because in the firing squad, not every guy gets a bullet.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. One gun is empty.
No one knows.
Yeah, you might
who
not
they-
be
who
the
they
killer.
are.
Really?
Yeah, one gun's
just
always
to,
empty.
Just to relieve themselves of being the guy.
Well, that's ridiculous.
But there's a
It
story.
isn't, so that you can sleep at night.
So guillotine, you think that's the most civilized way to kill
The
someone?
least civil is lethal injection.
It's a lot of work, eh?
No, it always apparently
yes.
it doesn't kill you right away, and it is the worst thing that
Hanging
could happen to a
has
human
got to
being.
be the worst. Like
no,
people
no.
stay alive for like a second when they hang.
I'd say the electric chair and lethal injection are both.
Yep.
Because most of the time you break your neck.
Those go right to sleep. You know, you're just to sleep.
No,
Chopping
no.
your head off, you're done.
No.
Firing squad, boom, you're done.
Well, there's a guy, there's a sidebar in Georgia who's been sentenced to death for lethal injection, but he says, my veins ain't shit, and there's going to be a good chance it ain't going to work the first time. So I'd like firing squad, and now they're considering it.
Well, I think they should. I think you should be able to get a firing squad if you want. I think most people wouldn't choose it, but
You should be able to choose your motive.
I think that's so interesting.
I think
that
it's interest-
only one person shoots, eh?
But no. Everyone shoots.
Yeah,
One
I
gun
know,
is empty.
but only
or there's
one
blanks
gun is
and
empty.
two bullets,
one gun is
something
empty. So they're being hit by 8
Kamar,
bullets.
One, there's a no one knows who it was component to it. He could be right.
guy rapes and kills your family. You think he should have the choice of how he dies at that point?
Well, I'm against the death penalty.
Are
so
you?
Again, it's hypothetical.
I didn't know
We've
that.
said if you walk in the guy raping your kid and you can film it and you have that evidence and you live in a place that has the death penalty, then that should be the executed. But we don't have the death penalty here, so it's like that guy on the
So
bus.
you just want to get your hands on that video.
You would think that guy on the bus that cut the kid's head off and ate it.
He didn't eat him. I think he just cut his head off.
He apparently was like eating parts.
He tried
of
to
the
eat him,
head.
yeah.
Okay, well, he didn't eat the head.
Well, he didn't serve it up. He didn't,
Sorry.
he didn't have time.
You're right. He was a good guy.
Yeah.
You
He
would,
didn't eat the head.
you would think based on everything, he should get the death penalty. I would think.
He's
like,
out walking around right now.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you think, that guy screwed up society this much, he doesn't get to live anymore. But that's not the rules.
Well, I mean,
But-
that guy got off on mental.
If yes, he could choose how he wants to kill himself.
Fair enough.
I wouldn't be that.
I just find it weird that we're taking away someone's rights in their life, but then we're going to give them. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm for it. Like, listen, I don't think we should use the electric chair, or I just said that. So firing squad, fine.
You don't think they should because we don't have anything here.
No, I don't think. I think if the government's going to kill you, two wrongs are supposed to make a right in this. So you might as well do it in the most humane way possible. And I don't believe lethal injection or the electric chair.
There must be a better way. Like they haven't
guillotine.
figured out a better mousetrap yet. No, guillotine seems too like.
It's all up to the individual that has to do it, right? And that's what you're saying. That's why you felt the firing squad seems cooler. Like the chair, one person throws the switch. Beheading, one guy drops dead.
It'll be so much easier
Guillotine.
when Elon just decides, when he just flicks the switch and
that's how it has to be. You lie there and there's a button you have to press. If you press it, the guillotine drops. You press it, the electric chair turns on. You press it, the chemicals are, and that'd be the ultimate. One more rush before you die.
That'd actually be a fun way to do it. Is like we have, so we have executions, but like you just put someone in an empty room and there's a red button with a sign that says "Don't push this button."
Yes,
you know what I mean. That person spends an hour in the room, and if they push the button,
that could be a twisted comic.
There you
got
go.
Idea there.
Okay, we got to end this.
Oh yeah.
I give it a 3. I thought it was decent. They veered off topic a lot, but it was nice to have some sort of different discourse on here. Somewhat.
Yeah, I gave it 3. I think they got lost. One last quote: "Life is died by the color of your thoughts."
2 from Simon. Life is died by the color of your thoughts. I like that. Okay,
that's good.
All right, well, that's a show. Thank you so much for listening. If you made it this far, that's incredible. Maybe you're willing to go one step further. We have some socials. It's at JREE Podcast. Listen, I know the show's done. It looks very unprofessional when I start talking. You both just fucking drop all your shit and then get up and leave.
I'm not getting up. I'm just taking my headphones off.
I feel it looks like the nightly news, like signing off. You know what I mean?
Whatever,
I thought it felt real cool though.
No, every time I watch it, I'm like, these fucking guys don't even care about this fucking thing. They're just up and out of here like, are we done with this yet? Can I go home?
We look like we have places to be.
No, I have to be here right to the end. He can piss off.
We have some socials. It's at JRE Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. If you want to follow us on there, feel free. You can follow Kamar on Instagram.
At Kamar Bar. Like and subscribe.
You can follow me on Instagram at Floydy, Floyd. I don't suggest doing it. There's nothing really there. I'm shit. We have a YouTube. If you want to watch the show, it's youtube.com/JREE Podcast. There's a Reddit if you want to not join in the conversation. It's r/JREE Podcast. We have a website where hopefully there'll be some new merch up next month. It's wearenotjoerogan.com. Be sure to not buy some. And the Patreon. If you want to support the show, you can do so for as little as $5 a month. Head over to patreon.com/JREE Podcast. For that $5, you get the post shows, the show we shoot the shit. You'll also get an episode of This Won't Age Well, the show where we go back and listen to old episodes, do what we do on the show now. And I'm hoping that by the end of the summer, I have some Patreon-only extra content that I can work out, but I'm just lost, guys. I don't know what I'm doing.
Another
I'm fucking idiot.
championship for Simon.
Oh, yeah, we'll try to get out on the basketball court in the next week or 2. That's it. That's a show. Do you guys have anything to say in closing? I'm surprised you're both still sitting here. This is incredible.
I have to be here.
Oh,
Keep your eyes open.